So this is activity W2P0. It's a slider crank mechanism, and I'm going to ignore all dimensions and create that assembly for you. Notice that this block at the bottom, I call it the track. Obviously, this block, I'm going to call it, sure, we'll call it block. It plays the role of a piston. This is the connecting rod, and here is your crank. Okay, so I'm not going to show this thing again. Let's go back here and start making it. Now, immediately I save this thing, file, save management, save as, you see, desktop. 2025, week 2, activities, and activity W2P0. Okay, so everything is gonna go in there for this particular problem. Now let me do the track first. So insert new part in there, and I'm gonna call this thing track. And track. Okay, let's go make it. It's just a box basically. On that plane, I will sketch. Since dimensions are ignored, I might as well draw anything that I want, like this. Okay, exit, and then pad it until I'm happy. So let me see. Let me make this thing 150. See how it looks like. Maybe longer. 300. Preview. Yeah, sure. Let me make it a little bit longer. 350. Okay, there's the track, except that at this corner point, I'm going to make a pin sticking out on that plane. I will sketch in a circle. This is where the pin of the connecting rod of the crank is going to go. Exit and then pad it. Oh, maybe 15. Yeah, that's good. Okay, so this I made it 15. Now, I'll go all the way to the top. Let's do the connecting, the crank. So insert a new part. I'll say no. I'll make this thing crank. And crank. Let's make it. So on that plane, I will sketch. Why don't I project that circle? There. It's projected. And here's the normal view. Okay, let's do an elongated hole. I like this because it makes my job really easy. Let me see. Yeah, that's going to be that. That's going to be my shaft. Okay. And let's make another hole at this other end. Circle at this end. All right. Exit. And we can pad it. I'll make this thing 10. Yeah. Good. So this is going to be the crank basically, all the way to the top. Let's do the connecting rod, or actually, yeah, the connecting rod. So right, insert new part. Call it Conrad. And Conrad. Let's go make it. So on that plane, I will sketch. Okay. Why don't I project that circle? Okay. And then I do the rest of the connecting rod. Once again, I like this elongated hole. I put it there. So uh, this is going to be our connecting rod. All right. And let me also make a circle at this end. All right. Exit. Okay. And let's see. If I pad it, there's going to be a hole here and there's going to be a hole there. Okay. Now I don't want a hole there. I want a pin sticking out. And here, no problem, a hole. That being the case, I'm going to do a multi-pad instead. So the first curve is the actual conrod, the periphery of the conrod. So I'll make that thing 8. See how it looks like? Maybe 6. Looks like that. Are we happy? Sure, why not? And then this one is the thing on the other end that I want it to be a hole, which is fine. And that is this end. I want maybe, I don't know, I'll make it, this was 15 and this was 8. So let's 6. Let's make it 11. We can fix this thing later on if needed. What happened? I think I canceled it. Let's try it again. Multipad. This. I made this thing 6. I made this thing, I think I made this thing 5. And then, okay, there. Let me hide that to see what's going on. Okay, so that should not have been 6. Should have been bigger than. So this was 6, right? So this one should have been 11, maybe. Yeah, yeah, that's better. Now the other fellow is in hiding. Where's the other fellow? In hidden mode, right there. Let's bring it in the front. Good. Now it is true I'm going to turn this thing around and put the pin in that hole. That's fine. But let's do the connecting rod and we'll worry about it later on. Okay. So all not the connecting rod, the block or the piston. Uh, so insert new part right there, and I'm going to call this thing block. Block and block. Let's make it. So on a convenient plane, on that top plane, I will draw a rectangle. See now, where's the rectangle? We'll draw a rectangle like that. Now, why don't I make these coincident? This coincident control, that control, this line coincident with each other. Okay. Same thing down here. That control this. Also coincident. Just looks nicer, that's all. Exit. Add it. Maybe to 40. 50. Doesn't matter. Now it's on that face, I'm going to draw a circle and make sure the center of it is exactly halfway between the left and the right. So what do I mean by that? Left line, control right line, control the center of this. I'll make it equidistant. And the same thing with the top and the bottom. Top line, control, bottom line, control the center of the circle. Once again, equidistant. Very good. All right, so I'll make this thing a little bit smaller than that because, yeah, I want to put that pin inside of that hole. Exit, and then we pad it. maybe by 20. See how it looks like. Well, actually, what we can do, we can pad it up to not, let me do it up to that plane, up to this plane. Oh, no, up to the other plane. Other select, also the selection. Uh, let me undo this. Let me cancel that. Pad this circle up to a plane, up to plane, up to this plane, and then we say okay. All right, so we're all set. We go all the way to the top, all the way to the top, and save it. The only thing is that this is not long enough, so let me actually go to this part when I padded it, and padded a little bit on this side, so more, let me see. Okay, that's better. Good. All right, all the way to the top, save everything, and let's go ahead and assemble. First of all, the track doesn't move, so why don't I fix it? There, track is fixed. Now let's move things around so that we can see what's going on. So for example, something like this, like that, this, so you can see what's going on here. And let me also move this thing a little bit up. All right, now we're going to do the assembly. Okay, first of all, we fix the track, it doesn't move. We're going to take this crank and put it in that, put the pin in that hole. So coincidence between this axis and that axis, and this plane and that plane, another one, of course, between this plane and that plane. And if you flip the arrow so it looks what you want, then that's fine. That's exactly what I want. Okay. Now let me move this thing up a little bit. So uh, I check this thing with respect to constraint, rotate about that, and move this so that it goes up. And when I'm done, I'm just let it go. Now this pin is going to go into that hole. So coincidence between this axis and that axis, and coincidence between this plane and that plane, and flip them. Let me see. Okay, that's better. You can see that, right? That pin ended up in that hole. Okay. Now let's go and put the block on the surface. So we have coincidence between this line and that line, and coincidence between this plane and this plane. Fine. Now we're going to take that pin and put it inside of that hole. So coincidence between this fellow and that hole. There we are. How do we know if it's working fine? One way, at least to have some confidence, you click on the move and manipulate, make sure this checkbox is on, and then rotate about that axis. Look at what happened. That's the way it should be, right? This is a good indication that we are on the right track. Now, to convince you that actually that is the case, let me move everything apart. By the way, I don't like these planes, so you know how to get rid of it. Control F. Find all the planes, find and select, and then hide. Hide them all. Okay, good. Now, let me move these things apart. So for example, I'll rotate that, rotate this fellow. And when I say update, they better go back to where they belong. There we are. Good sign. And that takes care of this tutorial. Later in the semester, starting next week, we're going to start putting physics.